Good afternoon. It's Sunday, October 29th, 2017, or in Barcelona, what is it, 7 o'clock, 7:05,
6 o'clock.
and 6 o'clock, sorry. Yeah, we were just talking about you guys have daylight savings time earlier than we do in America. It starts about a week earlier. And there's a lot to talk about given the fact that last week, Catalonia's parliament voted to declare independence. And I'm here joined with our two guests from last time, Nuria Clotet and Humberto Gonzalez. Please tell me what that day was like, both of you, whoever wants to go first. What was it like that day? I was at work. I'm kind of catching up. I've been reading up on the weekends, but you guys were probably living it live.
Yes. You want to go first?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it was 2 days ago, so we have Catalan Republic very young, 2 days old, and it happened on Friday. There was a meeting in the parliament, and all the deputies had to vote the resolution for the independence. The session was very long. So they declared the independence at 5 o'clock, I think so, in the afternoon. But many people was behind the parliament, the door. All the garden was stopped by the police, but all the people was out of the parliament waiting for that moment. So it was crowded of people waiting for that moment. So I was there with my friends and colleagues, and during all the day, waiting for the votation. And finally, at 5 o'clock, I think, they vote, and the majority of the parliament vote for the independence. So all the people was laughing, crying, very happy. It was a very special moment for all of that, yeah, for all of us.
I was on a train to another little small village, and it was actually Nuria, I think it was at 3:26 in the afternoon. I think, because I got the immediate text message from the news. I get automatic text messages as soon as something comes up. And me being sentimental, I started crying on the train. I made a video on the train, and for me. And it was very emotional, of course. And now we're actually, we're waiting. So it was very emotional.
Well, after that moment, in the St. James Square, in Barcelona, is the square where the government of Catalonia is and the city council is. And they organized immediately an activity, an event there with an scenery, many music groups playing, and some people make parliaments there in the afternoon, and they last all until the night. It was funny.
So it was generally a festive day, even though last week I do remember Prime Minister Rajoy in Madrid, he did declare that he's going to dissolve legally the Catalan, what's it called, the Generalitat? I don't know how it's pronounced. So yeah. He said he was going to dissolve it. He was going to call new elections. Catalonia would be directly governed from Madrid. But I think that from what you're describing, people are of the sense that inevitably Mr. Rajoy is not going to be able to just brush off the desires of the Catalan electorate. So are you guys, I don't know if you guys belong to, Humberto, you're an American citizen, but I don't know if you guys belong to a political party in Catalonia, but are you getting ready for an election season? I understand the next election is going to be in December.
Yes, it's going to be, Rajoy has called for an election on December 21st. But I am not a member of any party here whatsoever, because I'm not a Spanish citizen, so I am not a member of any party.
Yes, I am. a militant of base militant of Esquerra Republicana. It's an independentist political party, and we don't know exactly what we will do in these elections, the calling of these elections, because it was a call from the Spanish government. So we are in a Catalan Republic now, and our law is not now the Spanish law. So we don't know exactly how we will manage that, but at the moment, it's the plan of Rajoy for stopping the Republic. We now have to protect the Republic and to go on with the transition law of the Republic for make our own constitution, a new constitutional elections for the Republic. So we will see.
So we'll come back to the next election that the Spanish government has called. But in the moment, Mr. Puigdemont, the president of Catalan Parliament, he's kind of been shoved aside by the central government in Madrid. Is he in danger of being arrested? Is he also, does he have any sort of authority right now to help his constituents? We've never heard of, I don't remember in recent memory, a governor here in the United States that's been forcibly removed from power by the president. So could you please describe what's the status over there?
Well, the President Puigdemont has removed from his church that he's the president of the government of Catalonia, the president of Generalitat, and he has removed. And he's also a deputy in the parliament, and Rajoy has dissolved the parliament. So by the Spanish law, he has removed. So theoretically, he can't go to the Generalitat, or he can't go to the parliament. But I insist this is the Spanish law. So we will see what happened with the Republican law. Obviously, in the Spanish law, he can be arrested. Yeah, but Rajoy is not following exactly the law. He has applied an article of the Constitution, the 155, and it has never been applied before, so nobody knows what is going on with that. And because of the 155, Rajoy is doing some things that are not allowed in the Constitution, the Spanish Constitution. For instance, the president of the Spanish government can't call for elections in autonomy, in a region of the state of Spain. The only person who can do that is the president of the autonomy. So we don't know what will happen with the law, because Rajoy is saltan the law.
He's jumping above the law. He's making his own laws, basically.
So he's basically using some sort of executive decision making that it's not exactly enshrined in Spanish law. It's kind of he's improvising in the situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a question so far from the audience from Mad Dodge, who's a pretty common viewer of this channel. He says, how hard do you think is Spain going to crack down on the people? Now, I don't think that Spain can, I personally don't think that they can dedicate a lot of resources to just squashing these public celebrations. But remember, I mean, there's these elections coming up. There's all. What do you think that they're going to use the civil guard or other actual police forces that they have in order to squelch Catalan gatherings?
Well, the European Union has actually advised them not to use force again. That has come down from the main head person of the European Union as a very strong advice. But him taking over the autonomy of Catalonia under Article 155 will mean that if they don't want to allow demonstrations from the Catalan people, they don't have to. By him taking over, he would be like Theresa May, taking over the Parliament of Scotland and basically taking control over the culture, the teachings, the laws of the Scottish government, which would not go really well with Scotland, but it's a very good example. And that's exactly what he is going to try to do with Article 155 in Catalonia, and meaning that if the Catalan people would want to demonstrate like they have in thousands and thousands, he would say no, and you're not allowed to do that. It's a very much like a fascist, communist attack on the autonomy.
I think there's a number of parallels you could put it. The one that I listen to British radio sometimes, you know, I try to check in once a week because I do follow the Brexit situation, and Mr. Farage, who personally I follow Mr. Farage. I think he's a fantastic rhetorician, and he compares the Catalan situation to what the British did in Ireland in 1916 when they had a heavy-handed response to the Easter Rising, and they ended up executing people. So far, that hasn't happened in Catalonia. And the other thing I compared it with is Venezuela right now. They're basically removing all the powers of the National Assembly, the executive government, and they're trying to concentrate power at the top. In this case, they're trying to concentrate regional power at the top, which they've also done in Venezuela. And I personally don't think that it's going to, you know, engender goodwill among Catalonians. It's actually going to turn pro-Spain Catalonians and pro-independence Catalonians more fiercely against each other. It's just going to cause more of a public friction than there's ever been before. Do you see, I mean, you both are on the ground there in Barcelona. Do you see more tension than ever between these two camps within Catalonia itself?
Well, we had the tension yesterday, a little bit. Tension between
the street, people.
Yes. I just wrote on my Facebook wall today, and I apologize for interrupting, but I was walking down the street, and there were 3 Spaniards buying a Spanish flag from a person on the street who was selling flags. And I heard one of them say, "A por ellos," which means "let's go get them." It's a very aggressive term. It's when you say "a por ellos," it insinuates you're going to hurt them, that you're going to physically hurt people. And when I actually see or hear people, I hear people saying that, or I see people reacting in a certain way, in a body language, aggressive like this, it does intimidate you, and it does instigate fear towards the other, us, towards the people here in Catalonia. I mean, it's great that they can't tell if I'm pro or against when I'm walking, but if it wasn't for that, I'd be afraid.
Yeah. I have to say that it hasn't happened by the other side. It means the Catalan movement, the independence movement, it has been always in the street. It's not a political movement first, but as the civil society who wanted the independence, and afterwards the political parties went on. It's very important to know that, because there's a lot of time about the people is going out in the streets asking for the independence, but always in a very civil way, in a peace way, and always very kind, very happy, singing, very polite with all the people, with all the sensibilities. And the two more important associations of the independence movement, that's called Omnium Association and Catalan Assembly. The leaders of those associations are now in prison because of the Spanish law, because they consider that they were animant a la rebellion. They were
building up the rebellion. They were in charge of the rebellion.
On 10th September, when the Spanish police take 14 people, 14 workers in the administration, the Catalan administration, and many people were against that detentions,
the arrests.
Arrested, yes. So that two leaders were calm down the people, were all the day just asking for the freedom of the other people and calm down the socials, the people who were in the street asking for freedom. That means that the Catalan movement always have been very peaceful. Today in Barcelona have been Spanish demonstration, a demonstration asking for the union of Spain. And it's curious, but in that demonstration have been attacks to the police.
Yes.
And yesterday were attacks to the public radio, Catalan radio, from fascist people. So I want to say that from the other side, from the Spanish side, there are some fascist people that are very aggressive, and they can say the same from the Catalan part. That's why.
There were times when they called the TV radio station hostess a whore and a bitch to her face. They have been very aggressive. I actually, when I've seen the Catalan as an impartial person here in Barcelona, I saw the Catalans bringing roses to the the national police, the ones that are dressed in black with batons and that ended up beating people. They brought them roses, and every time I see the other side, I see aggression. But from the Catalans, I don't see aggression. I see them as trying to be peaceful, and I'm not trying to point the finger at anybody here. I'm just telling you what I see from an impartial person that came in here to this city, and I was impartial before. I'm no longer impartial. From what I've learned, I'm no longer impartial. It's true, but I'm still telling you what I've seen, and what I see is aggression from the other side. I don't know if you've seen the videos where they have called Catalans for them to be gassed. I think I told you about that last time.
Well, I think that in America we've kind of become what's the word? Desensitized to the word fascist because it's just used every time. In Spain and I guess in Catalonia, they do believe in fascism. We're not trying to like beat around the bush here. They do believe. What are they called? Are they the Falanges? Yeah, they're Falangistas. I mean, it's not like they're ashamed of it. It's kind of the culture of that party over in Spain. They have hardline people. There's the same thing in Italy, where it's not like I can probably say, many Americans, they don't really kind of believe that hyperbole right now. But I think I can agree with Umberto that when we're talking about fascists, these people they literally do believe in fascism in its classic definition. So yeah, keep going.
No, I was just gonna tell you that I myself, I do get a little scared as I walk through a crowd, and they come down here. You can actually feel the hate that they have towards the Catalans because of how they don't care what they do in Barcelona. These are people that are coming from all over Spain to protest here. These are not, most of these people are not people that are residents. Okay. in the Barcelona area. And you can tell because they don't have any respect. Last time they actually went to a restaurant, they had throwing chairs and tables outside of the restaurants. One of them was they like to smoke inside, so they were smoking in the metro. And there's a video of a security guard asking him to stop smoking. He starts going off on the security guard, calling him names because he's a Catalan, and then he says to him, "Who pays your salary? Spain pays your salary. Spain pays your salary." And you can see the aggression and all these videos. And they call this unity. It's not unity, it's possession. Because if you want to call unity, you want to call unity for people that you want to get along with, that you want to try to form a group of union, like a marriage or something. Unity means getting along together.
Or at least a bit of civility.
Exactly. If the Catalans were to say we're going to leave Catalunya, they would clap and go away. They just want the land. And that's not called unity, that's called possession.
Well, that brings me, I wanted to expand a little of the topics. I didn't include all the questions I wanted earlier, but could you, either of you, people from outside of the Catalan region, I'm assuming both of you, Nuria and Humberto, are there other regions of Spain that you communicate with, Navarro or let's say Galicia, that you're seeing people are kind of, they're looking a little more askance at the Spanish government? They're saying, what the hell? I mean, this isn't really, you're kind of wasting away our reputation and making us look like fools to the world. Are there people in Spain right now, that the rest of Spain, not in Catalonia, that are saying this is really bringing down the reputation of our country?
Yes, when Rajoy said that he wanted to apply the 155 article of the Constitution, many groups in the rest of Spain from the left made demonstrations in Madrid, in Valencia, in Basque Country, in many cities in the rest of Spain, asking for the stop the 155, because it's going against the autonomy. If Spain goes against the Catalan autonomy, and maybe will go against the other autonomies. But I have to say that in general, many people in the rest of Spain, they don't know exactly what is happening in Catalonia, and they don't know exactly why Catalan people want to leave. That's because the mass media in the rest of Spain, they just give one opinion about what is happening, just the union opinion, just the right opinion, just the Spanish government opinion. So in the programs, in tertulias, in the meetings, they never invite us to explain why Catalan people want to leave. So many people from a long time have their universal idea of what Catalan people is or what Catalan people want. So it's very complicated now explaining why we want to leave.
A very good example as to how they control the press in Madrid, October 1st, when they were beating everybody here and putting people in hospitals, my Madrid friends saw my videos that I posted and they said, that's not true, it can't be happening. It is now midnight in Madrid, this is October 1st, and we still haven't gotten any news on that. The news that we have tonight in Madrid, my friend told me, was Spaniards in Hawaii. She said, I cannot believe that that's happening. It took them the day later to post those news because they knew that those videos had circulated worldwide in one day. But otherwise, they don't like to post any news of anything that they're doing towards Catalonia. When I speak to this friend of mine in Madrid, she goes, "We have never heard of that." When I tell her about any of the 25 laws that Spain repealed on Catalonia, which I don't know if you've seen that video that's going around with that blonde girl telling you about one of the reasons that Catalonia wants to separate. Have you seen that yet, Ramon? No?
Could you guys send it to me?
I'll send it to you. I'm going to give you a little synopsis of it, but basically in 2006, Spain agreed to give Catalonia a new status of autonomy with more financial and policy-making power, such as they've given the Basque Country. And despite a referendum that was done, just like this other referendum was done legally according to the Constitution, and everybody voted on them to let Catalonia do that, they said no afterwards, and they did not give the same the same things that they've given the Basque Country to Catalonia. Then they repealed a law that Catalonia tried to pass to protect its elderly citizens, something to help the elderly citizens, and they said no also. Then Catalonia tried to pass a law of seeking gender equality, as in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. But Spain's constitutional court, at the request of Rajoy, repealed that one too. And it goes on and on. Nuclear energy, the same as is done by the German legislation. They try to pass a law in order to help with nuclear energy in Catalonia. Spain said no way also. And it goes on and on and on. Over 25 of these laws that they just said no to within the last 6 to 10 years. And one of them, which I think is disgusting, is where Spain allows bulls for people to put fireworks on the bull's horns. The bull goes crazy because the fireworks are all around his head. And about maybe 2 months ago in Valencia, when they were doing this to one bull, the bull committed suicide. He continued to hit his head on a pole to die. There's a video of that I can send you as well. And Catalonia asked for this to be against the law here, that they don't want to have people do this to such an animal. Spain said no again. And it goes on.
Okay, so we have more people joining. I want you to include your questions. So far we've discussed, first of all, the independence declaration, the experience of Nuria and Humberto during that day, the reaction of the Spanish government, and what they're going to do likely in the run-up to the regional elections, which are in December, correct? And then I did want another question. I'm going to see if there's going to be a few more from the audience. But in terms of the international community, now, I've already seen a lot of countries, even countries I thought might give a little more nuanced of a viewpoint, kind of say, you know what, this is Spain's issue, and including the European Union. Before we get back to those countries, though, Nuria, do you think that your leadership, whether it's Puigdemont or some of the other political leaders, do they have plans to take their case to other countries, let's say in South America or in Russia? There's plenty of countries that might say, we have a stake in trading with an independent Catalonia as opposed to Spain or whoever is in charge now.
Well, the Catalan government has been working from a year and a half abroad, talking with other countries, with other official people in the countries, asking for the support. But it's not an easy issue, as you know, because we are not a state yet, or we weren't a state yet. And every time that diplomatic Catalan people went to meet the diplomatics in another country, the Spanish embassy always make a boycott to that meetings and pressed the other countries not to give support to Catalan government. So all these meetings have been very difficult because of that, because the pressure of the Spanish government. Until yesterday, that Spanish government sent to all the countries in the European Union asking for the non-support to the Catalan Republic. But it's funny because the Spanish government sent the apply form with all the text that they had to say exactly. So at the moment, it's very difficult to have the supports. Anyway, I'm sure that many people are interested in giving support to Catalonia, because when we become really a state, we can go on. We have a very high PIB, the product in
productivity.
Yeah, the productivity is very high. We know we have an industry. We know we can go on without Spain. And there are many foreign enterprises in Catalonia, so we can do business and we can go on. That's why I'm sure we will have the foreign support, but not now. We just are second day of the Republic, and for instance, the last some other countries that have been independent last century, for instance, Lithuania, Estonia, they didn't had their first supports. Do you follow me?
I had to shut off the other computer, so.
Okay, can you follow me?
Sorry about that.
No?
Yeah, I can follow you. I just had to switch over.
Okay, I go on.
Do you want her to repeat what she said, or?
No, you can keep going.
Okay.
Okay, I was saying that other countries like Estonia, Lithuania,
Slovakia,
and Estonia, Lithuania, y Letonia received their first support, international support, after 6 months of declaring their independence. So we are doing what we have to do, and we are calm because we are sure that the support will come soon.
So I did notice before, and Umberto, you can get back right back to it. I wanted to ask the European Union's reaction this week. I saw in this is the UK Daily Express, which is, admittedly, they're a very anti-EU paper in the UK. They said that Catalonia will not receive any support from the EU. They said no EU state will recognize Catalonia. So I think that I wonder, like, why would not Ireland, which has its own long history of issues like this, why wouldn't they at least break ranks with the leadership in Brussels? And like I said, I mean, there's other countries around the world which I think they wouldn't have any problem with recognizing Catalonia. Do you think it's just the influence of the European economic bloc that's keeping all these countries in line?
Well, let's remember that Rajoy has been caught sending these countries not only these letters, but he was also caught trying to get Volkswagen to pull out of Barcelona last week. I don't know if you heard about that as well. And so he's trying to get the U.S., who has their second major base in Andalusia, to support him as well. Of course, if the U.S. has their second major base in Spain, it behooves the U.S. to support Rajoy at this time period. I personally, I'm very disappointed with the majority of the European Union right now. Not all of them, of course. We have gotten some really good responses from Finland. We did get a really good positive letter from Denmark also at one time, and Ireland as well, and Belgium as well, and we have gotten letters of support from them. We are waiting, like Nuria said, to see what happens now. But after them having seen those videos, putting people over 79 years old in the hospital with brain hemorrhages and holding down kids under 10 years old, beating them as well, how can they think that Catalonia would actually be better off staying in Spain, or any other place be better off staying in Spain, and especially after I've mentioned all the other laws that they repealed as well. So I am disappointed with the European Union right now. I'm hoping that maybe this is the way that they have to react at first, and that hopefully they will change as time goes by. But this is me seeing it from my outside perspective. I don't know about Nuria.
Well, I think that we will have support from some countries that they have interests in Catalonia, or economic interests, or maybe human rights support, because we have had an attack against the human rights. So there are many countries that can't allow that. I don't want to say names. We don't know exactly, but the Catalan government have talked to many countries in the European Union and also out of the European Union, as Russia, China, Israel. I don't know, many.
Yeah, I saw the reaction. I think the feeling that I get is that a lot of countries, they just don't want to put they don't want to throw a gamble out on something that they don't have the courage to really back up. And I have some questions here from Larry Gurkey. I think he's some sort of Maoist that follows my stream. Kind of a strange combination, but he says here. First of all, he says, greetings to our Catalonian comrades.
Hi, Larry.
Then he says he has a question, and after that I'll get to Alex Davis's question. He says, here's what I want to know, comrades. Why was the EU, NATO, and the US so keen to make Kosovo and Bosnia-Herzegovina independent from Serbia, but not recognize Catalonia? And that's a common... I mean, I'll give my perspective. I'll let you guys react too. I think often the European Union, they just have an opportunistic viewpoint on their international relations. They've been encroaching on the East, on Russia. They've been encroaching on the rights of a lot of their own citizens in their own countries, kind of taking more control and concentrating it in Brussels. And for them, what happened in the 90s in Yugoslavia was an opportunity to take a lot of those countries out of the satellite of the Yugoslav state and move it away from... Larry says he's not a Maoist. Well, you shouldn't have given me that impression, Larry. Anyway, there's an issue here where oftentimes you'll get one system, see a weaker system next to it, and try to, poach people from it or poach entities from it. What do you guys say? Do you have an opinion on that? I don't know if that really is fresh in your mind or if it's something you care about. Why is it that they'll recognize other states that are trying to become independent, but they won't recognize one of their own constituent zones trying to become independent?
Well, I think, like Nuria said, they have not recognized other ones as well, like the ones that she mentioned. But I agree with what you said in reference to the whole Kosovo and Yugoslavia thing. I think it behooved them during that time period to do that. And they don't want to send a message out that says everybody else can separate in their country. So they want to be able to actually possibly this is what I'm thinking, say, no, this is not acceptable, because they don't want it to be a domino effect. That's what I'm thinking, that is what's happening here with Catalonia. I don't know.
So yeah, Nuria, I'd like to direct, I think, can you tell me if you agree with this? I think that the European Union, if they do this type of deal and they say yes to Catalonia, I think what they are thinking in their minds is that Spain will now become the template for a lot of these countries to say, well, the European Union is not protecting the territorial integrity of our countries as we are members of the EU. So they're trying to say to the other countries that may break up, let's say Italy, which has a problem like that, and I believe Belgium would be another case. They're trying to reassure them, oh, we'll scratch your back if you'll scratch ours, and that's why they're not being as critical of the Spanish government as maybe their constitution would require them to.
Yes. Well, Catalan people put hope in European Union because we thought that they will respect our rights, or human rights, overall after the 1st October, and also the injustice that we have with the Spanish law. But we have to say that European Union is a union of states, and they also protect each other. So we have seen it with the refugees that they come from the war of Syria, and we have had really problems to take them in our countries. So there's sometimes the European Union is not so nice and equanimous as we thought. There another function of the European Union is to remind the economic stability. So we know that if Catalonia leaves from Spain, there will be a real economic problem with the debt that Spain has to Europe, and well, we are able to negotiate the debt with Spain, but anyway, it will be an instability situation in the economics in Europe and maybe in all the world. So I think that they don't want to move any peace in Europe because of that. And also because of the risk prima, I don't know how to say it. It's the price of the debt in Spain. If there are instability, the debt is more expensive. So European Union is paying for equilibrate the debt, and if the instability come up, European Union won't want to pay anymore. So there are some reasons for keep Catalonia in its place and don't move, and also because of the pressure of the state of Spain that make pressure to the other states in Europe. And also because the other states have little nations that maybe in someday they want to become independent also. So there are many reasons for to remain Catalonia quiet, and that's why Catalan people start to not to have so credibility with the European Union or openness with them. So we think that we will win our own recognition alone, not through the European Union.
If you're joining us late, this is Ramon with Bold Like a Leopard. We're talking with Nuria Clotet and with Humberto Gonzalez, who's an American resident in Barcelona, about the recent Declaration of Independence of Catalonia. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't see myself on the screen. It usually switches over. So I'm taking people's questions, and I have a couple here. One is from Alex. He asked it a few minutes ago, and this is more about Spain outside of Catalonia. Do you guys think, hypothetically, and we're maybe a little early in the game, but do you think that the Spanish government could actually drift back into something closer to the Franco era, into overt, out-and-out fascism?
Tornar fascismo.
Sí, España.
Well, it's a very complicated question, because we will have to talk about the Franco, the final of the dictatorship, and the beginning of the democracy. That democracy hasn't been very well done, means because Franco died, but the people went on the power. The monarchy was put thanks to Franco, and the constitution was made among progressive people and fascist people. Just because of went off from the dictatorship, because Europe was saying that it was not very polite to have a dictatorship in the European Union, so they have to finish with the dictatorship. But indeed, the people was there, and from now, they have never asked sorry to the people who lost their life because of the Franco regime or in the war, or they didn't cut with that regime. So I mean that the political party now in Spain, that is Partido Popular, is from right. There are many people that become from that regime, and they are democratic, but they think like authoritarians,
yeah.
Country.
Yeah. For example, the you have to remind me of her name, Nuria. The woman with the short black hair, what's her name? Santa Marina.
I don't know.
The one that works with Rajoy.
Saez de Santa Maria.
What's her name?
Saez de Santa Maria.
Saez de Santa Maria.
The second of Rajoy.
Yeah. She actually is a descendant from one of the people that worked for Franco. So you can actually feel where all this aggression, all this violence came from between her and all these other people that are working as a Democratic Party right now in Madrid. They all come from that same, what is it, government of Franco, Franquism government. And
well, can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Sure, of course.
I do, I think it's funny when that happens, but it's not uncommon. I mean, first of all, remember President Putin of Russia was a member of the KGB, he was a KGB officer. I mean, that wasn't that long ago. There are a lot of people in the Italian government who are descendants of members of the fascist government in Spain. The same you could say of in Germany. I don't think that it's realistic to really expect those people and their their legacy, their children, to not be active in Spanish politics, even if we don't. I certainly don't really find much attractive from Falangismo, but I think it's kind of presumptuous to think that since 1976 they would work their way out of the system.
No. There's nothing wrong with them following politics, but not using authoritarian or totalitarian power to continue to do so. That's what is not acceptable. If you're going to go ahead and get into politics, and your parents or your grandparents were part of the the communist regime, it's not acceptable for you to go ahead and beat elderly people anymore or do anything that what they've done before, what they've done now. That's what I'm saying. It's okay if they want to follow politics. Anybody should be able to do whatever they want to do, but not continue in the same line as it was back in that time period.
And I think we could all like say that probably the most important thing which would accomplish what you're talking about is that they would be committed to their own constitution and guaranteeing the legal right of assembly. And if they didn't want to recognize your ballot or your referendum, what they should have really done, in my opinion, okay, and I've heard other people say it, is say, you know what, we don't recognize your referendum, but we will agree to have a new vote that we'll legally sanction and that we can all participate in. We'll sponsor our own campaign. You can make your campaign, and we won't have this just ugly eyesore of this wave of repression that we're seeing. That it definitely tarnishes the reputation of Spain as a whole. Can I move on to another question, if you guys don't mind?
Oh, no, go ahead.
So Larry asked a question. I asked it a couple times. I don't know if you guys are getting tired of it. I'm kind of interested in Brexit a lot. As non-democratic as Brussels and the EU Commission act, why would Catalonia even want to join the EU? Why not stand tall like post-Brexit UK will? That's his words. And I would say they don't necessarily have to do it the same as the United Kingdom, because we don't know how Brexit will end up. But why don't they say that we will become independent come what may, whether it's in the EU or it's outside of the EU?
Okay. So there is another option. There is something else called EFTA. And Britain is part of EFTA, so is Switzerland. So is
Iceland, I think.
Norway. So it's Norway.
Did you say Iceland already?
EFTA.
EFTA.
Yeah, but I'm saying, did you say that Iceland was a member too?
Yes, Iceland is a member.
Okay.
And there's actually, that is another option instead of the EU. But I mean, people would have to do a referendum in their country because I think the Catalan people are very everybody the option. I'm sure. I don't know. Nuria can tell you a little.
Well, it is what I was talking about before about the European Union. We are with the intervention of the European Union or the opinion of the European Union about what is happening in Catalonia, because Spanish government didn't allow us to make a legal referendum, negotiated referendum, and Europe also allowed all what happened at the 1st October, all the aggressive and the policial violence. And now they don't recognize us for the moment. So there are many reasons for what we don't believe in this kind of union in Europe. And we think that maybe there are other unions that we can belong, economic unions like EFTA or whatever. But it's my opinion. I think that this would be a point that we will have to vote in a referendum with all the Catalan people and decide if we want to belong to European Union or not.
And I wanted to say something really quick on what you were saying about why don't they allow a vote after what happened. They are scared because they know that there's a huge amount of Catalans that want to become independent. The reason they don't want to go that route is because they know that they risk losing Catalunya completely. And so that's why they are doing everything else the by force if they have to. I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Nuria. Sorry.
No, well, it's another thing that I want to talk about is the justice in Spain. It's not very fair justice. There are the constitutional trial is formed by 12 judges, and they are put for the government of Spain. So they are from the right side, and most of them also come from fascist families. Not all, but all are the same kind of thinking. So it's not transversal, it's not equal, and it's very difficult to belong in a state where the justice is not fair, it's not fair. That's why when we ask for European Union to take part of this unfair situation, they don't say anything, and they give support to Spain because Spain is a state and it can hurt us.
It's like having 12 Republican or 12 Democrat Supreme Court justices in the United States. To give you an example.
Right, and you know, that's generally an issue here in the States where we would hope it would balance out with separation of powers, and the Congress would have, you know, they'd appoint somebody who is not partisan or something. In Spain, I think you guys do have a point, which is, sorry?
No, you were talking about the separate of the powers, and in Spain, theoretically, there are the separation of the powers, but in the practical, it doesn't exist. The executive power and the judicial power are mixed. That's why it's very unfair for the citizens. Hello?
Yeah, I'm just turning my camera off so I can save battery. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think that you guys have a point, which is that it's not only that Catalonia has a different cultural background, they do have a different language, and they have a different heritage than, let's say, the rest of Spain, which itself is made up of a lot of former medieval kingdoms like Aragon and Castilla. But there's a different attitude to Catalonia. We like to think in America really about more the issue with California as opposed to the rest of the country. They're trying to separate. But what's with the hostility with the Spaniards? I see, in fact, and I've followed a little of Spanish football. In Barcelona, you have the RCD Español. You have a club that is more close to the Spanish identity, and you have a club that's Barcelona, that's much more Catalonian, and you have Tarragona. Don't they have a club of their own? What's with this that they can't just accept that some people in Spain they just have a different heritage than the rest of the country?
Are you referring to why the Spanish people from, let's say, the government area, the Madrid area, can't accept that there are other languages besides Spanish? Is that what you're saying?
And I think I'm trying to contrast it because in Barcelona, it's not like people shut down the pro-Spanish football club. I mean, you guys let RCD Español keep their operations, and you don't harass them day to day, or at least not without, I mean, there's probably like some soccer dust-ups and everything, but it's not like the Spanish identity is being suppressed by the Catalans. It's almost entirely the other way around.
Yes, and I think you are correct, and you've hit the nail on the head, because they've done the same thing with Basque Country before, and they also have a different language. I think when I actually learned to speak Catalan, I encountered a lot of aggression from Spaniards because I was speaking Catalan, and if I were speaking English or French or Italian, nothing would happen but speak Catalan. And I'm being told to go back to the United States. Why am I speaking this language? All this other mess. And I'll let Nuria tell you a little bit more because I think I'm controlling it this time, Ramon.
Yeah, Nuria, can you tell us? I mean, you've lived in Catalonia your entire life. Do you have experiences going and traveling in the rest of Spain, in Granada or in Extremadura, and you know, maybe there's an accent to your Spanish, and they kind of look at you weird or something?
Yeah, I don't like to say that, but there are many Spaniards that have a very topical concept of Catalan people because of the mass media that I was talking before. The mass media sends an image and an opinion of Catalan, and people believe that. So it's very difficult sometimes to explain that we are people, very open people, very kind and pacific. So, and we are very open. So in Catalonia, there are many people that lives here that come from other parts of the state of Spain, because in the 50s, 60s, there was no many work there, and they came to work and live in Catalonia. People from Extremadura, Andalusia, overall Aragon. So many people come here, and their children now are citizens from Catalonia. They speak Catalan and Spanish, and they are Catalan, and also they are from the regions where they belong. And most of them now are independentists, because they have realized that it's not a question of identity, but a question of democracy and justice, and to be capable to manage our own money and laws, or whatever. And when they go to visit their parents, sometimes they have to hear that they are the Catalanufos, or some words that they are not very kind. But they are topics. What I realized is that people in the rest of Spain have no many interest in asking or understanding what is happening here, or what we are doing here. So that's why many people prefer to be independent. Not all, but many people.
So I have a couple more questions from the audience, if you guys want to tackle them. Larry asks, does your Declaration of Independence include Palma de Majorca and the Balearic Islands? Now, for you Americans that don't understand that, if you're one of those rave partiers, Ibiza, sorry, is in the is in the Balearic Islands. So you would have to fly there to Catalonia if it would become part of Catalonia, instead of into Spain, in order to get into one of those crazy rave parties where they splash each other and throw cake at each other. I don't know which one of you knows more about that, so please enlighten me.
People are worried if Ibiza would be independent.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never been to one of those, but I know about it.
The Balearic Islands are separate, so
not at the moment.
Yeah, not the moment. They're Catalan also, but
Catalan countries.
There are 3 Catalan countries. There's Catalunya, there's the Balearic Islands, and there's Valencia. Those are the 3 Catalan countries. But
in the Middle Age, it was a country, all that, and afterwards, with the history, they become separate autonomies. The Catalonia, the Balearic Islands, and Valencia. So at the moment, we are organized separately. So at the moment, I don't know. I don't think that the Balears.
I would love for the Balearic Islands to join.
But they speak Catalan also. We have many common things: culture, language.
All right.
Brothers.
And then there was another region there. I know that in southern France, they do speak also kind of a different dialect. It's not exactly French. And Alex was asking if a similar movement could happen in southern France, where they would want to separate from them, and if that would have anything to do with the new Catalan state.
Okay. I suppose he refers to Catalunya North, the north of Catalonia. It's another part that in the Middle Age it belongs to Catalonia, and for
a treaty. Spain gave it away to France.
Yeah, it was separate from Catalonia and belonged to France. We don't know. It depends on how strong is the movement in the Catalonia North for becoming independent. But at the moment, I don't think so, because France is a very centralist state, and it would be very difficult. Anyway, we have a lot of relationship between them, because they speak Catalan also, and we have cultural relations or
I personally don't see that anywhere in the near future. I mean, who knows about maybe 80 years from now, but I don't see it. I've studied that as well, Ramon, and I don't see it.
You have to understand that overall this movement in Catalonia is because of justice. It's a question of justice. We don't feel well treated by the Spanish justice and the constitutional trial. And that also means the economical, political in the state of Spain. And so it's a lot of political aggressions against the Catalans. So you can imagine like a marriage where the two couples are
in divorce.
Yeah, they want to divorce because one of them feel that is bad treated by the other.
He's treated very badly by the other,
and he feels that is an injustice. So it's normal that that person wants to leave and don't to have to remain there in the marriage.
Okay, I wanted to also ask, I think Larry did bring it up. What's your feelings, guys, about the Basque country, which in the past it had a violent insurrection against the Spanish central government? I think that's kind of been tamped down and reduced over the past 30 years. Do you think that they are going to take a cue from this and say, you know what, this is a type of crap that we used to deal with too. We want out of Spain as well. We think this is ridiculous. We don't even have anything in common with the Spanish language. Basque language is really something all of its own. Do you guys know anything about that?
Yeah. Well, Basque country had a very long struggle also for its independence, but the tool was ETA during a lot of time. It was, ETA? ETA, it was a terrorist group.
Yeah, we have a very educated audience here, so everybody knew that, but thanks.
Okay, okay, it was very complicated because this terrorist group acted by their own, and there were in Basque Country many independentist people that was not violent, that they wanted a pacific way. But anyway, ETA worked because the Spanish government and Basque Country government negotiate some treaties for Basque Country. That means they have another economic regime, very positive for them, and they have some more respect from the rest of the Spain. That means that ETA during the terrorist group, it was very difficult in the streets in Basque Country because of the Kale Borroka. It means many young people that want to fight in a violent way, and there was many Spanish police attacking them. So it was a very bad environment, and at the end, the Spanish people invented a law, and they decided that the independentist political parties were illegal, and they forbidden them to present in the elections. So they was removed from the election, from the political party landscape in Basque Country. So now the political party that govern there are the right political party, the socialist, that it's a kind of right political party, and the nationalist political party, but not the independentists during a lot of time. It made that the independentist groups were were removed, and now there are a lot of independentist people, but the movement is a little asleep at the moment. Anyway, they give support to Catalan people, and maybe they will learn now another kind of movement for asking for the independence.
They were given the rights that Catalonia asked for in 2006 that I read to you earlier on. The Basque Country was given those rights that they refused the Catalans. And so they do have a lot more financial and policy-making decisions within their own autonomy. So they're pretty happy, I think, right now, for the most part. What Spain could have done with Catalonia, what they did with the Basque Country, they could have done with Catalunya in 2006, and everything would be probably fine right now. Yeah.
It won't be so independentist that now.
Yeah.
Okay, a new question from the audience. Do you find interference and agitation from interlopers and outside agitators in your movement? If so, how do you deal with them? And any friction they cause between you and Madrid? Now, that might actually be a sensitive question, but I mean, you guys can take.
I'm not sure I understand. Interlopers within our own group?
Yeah, I guess he means maybe people that are a little more rowdy. I actually see a little more discipline, surprising discipline in the Catalan movement, because I personally have not seen any riots, but I think maybe he's trying to ask if there are a lot of people that they try to make more confrontation with the cops or with the civil guard. Is there?
I from my side, because I belong to a few chat groups on WhatsApp that let me know ahead of time what's going on, and I'm brought up to date. And one of the things that they always send in every chat group is, please be peaceful, please be respectful. The Catalans repeat that again and again and again. And when the Spaniards do their demonstrations, they send out another message saying, please stay away from the streets. Today, let them have their demonstration. It's their right to demonstrate. We don't want to have any, what is it? What do you call it? Any aggression? Yeah, any crossings between us. So everybody, I feel, follows it pretty well.
Yeah, no, just remember that because of that, the two leaders of the social
media.
The
societies.
The Catalan society are in prison now, and they have not a trial yet.
A trial.
A trial, and they are in prison because of they said that they made sedition for a caso de sedición. Spanish justice said that they were trying to make violence and so, but they were doing exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
And they now are in prison since
October
2 weeks. From 2 weeks, they are in prison now in Madrid. They went there to declare, and they didn't come back in Barcelona yet. And it's very grave that, because they have not a trial.
Yeah, these are two people that all they did was try to tell the crowd to keep calm. And it was a crowd that was there to block the Spanish police from entering and stealing the voting urns. Okay, the crowd was not violent towards the police or anything. This happened September 20th. It happened before the violence on October 1st. In fact, supposedly it was this occasion on September 20th that that caused the police to be violent the next time, because they couldn't get through the crowd on September 20th. And so I think that's probably what caused them to be violent on October 1st. And that was probably news that was given to them from the government of Spain. But these two guys have families here in Barcelona. Spain could have actually put them in a jail here in Barcelona, but no, they put them in a jail in Madrid. One of the men has a 6-month-old baby that he cannot see. The other man was taken from his house by force with this 3 little girls watching. There's an interview with both of the wives of these guys. We have had about 3, I think, demonstrations to try to free them. They are political prisoners. They have done nothing else. Political prisoners in Europe. That has not happened since 1975 when Franco passed away. Yeah. So the fact that they're not even letting them be around their families, they could have put them in jail in Barcelona, but no. I found out from my Basque friends that they would do the same thing to the Basque people. If they put anybody in jail from Basque country, they would put them in the Canary Islands, in Galicia, anywhere else, Andalusia, far away from where their families were, to make them suffer a little bit more, because they would be further away from their families. This is completely, for me, inhuman.
And it's out the law, because the law say that the prisoners have to be near their families.
Yeah, I'm getting, I have a couple more questions, but from the impression that I see, it reminds me of a Spanish movie that I remember watching like 10 or so years ago called Torrente, Brazo Tonto de la Ley, which you should see it. It's pretty funny, because you'd probably get more of the jokes than I did, but it's kind of they're kind of these old style Spanish guys that they still like Franco, and they all, they'll go to a football game. They're kind of ignorant, and it's just this attitude that you can just treat people like garbage, just because you are, this classic Spanish identity. And I think that's what it meant. I think I saw the sequel too, which was actually pretty awful. But for any of you that want to check it out, I will put it in the chat. I did want to ask, Nuria, I think you might know a little more about this, but Humberto, you can chime in too. For the Catalonians that might be working professionally in the rest of Spain, or maybe even in the army or for the state, do you think that there has been, or there will be more of a I don't know whether it's a discrimination or just ugly treatment from the rest of the Spaniards now that there is this independence declaration?
Well, I don't know exactly. I know that there are many Spanish people that want to make boycott to Catalan products, and really they don't want that we leave, but we don't know exactly why. They don't give many intelligent reasons or political reasons or economical reasons. It's just a visceral thing. So they attack us like a visceral thing. I don't know what will happen really. We are acting in the most polite way because we are very respectable with everybody. And maybe we have fault in not being more pedagogic or didactic with other people explaining what is going on, but we don't know what will be the react. For now, we know that not many, but some enterprises that have the seat here in Catalonia have moved to other parts of the state of Spain, but it was a pressure from the Spanish government to move, because demonstrate to the rest of the world that there was a very critical situation, and the enterprises and the economy was very unstable here in Catalonia. But that's not true, because the activity remains here, the workers are here, and the offices are here. So it was just because for making fear, and the Spanish is working on that, on making a message of fear to the people.
I think that unfortunately there will be some Catalans that will be mistreated in their workplace by Spaniards. I believe so, because I was going to bring a friend of mine to a party, and some of them said, "Why are you bringing the Catalan?" So I stopped associating with those people. But if they can say something like that out of the workplace, I'm pretty sure that it can happen in the workplace.
Yeah, I kind of have, I do know people here, for example, I live in a city where there's a lot of Russians and a lot of Ukrainians. I don't think it happened. I mean, people were obviously taking one side or the other during the 2012 or 13 crisis, but they weren't, in the United States, I didn't see people treating each other like crap the way that I hear, both last time and this time from what you guys are talking about. I wanted to ask one more question, and then I'll see if there's any more from the audience, and then, maybe we can wrap up. What about legal recourse? Do you think that Mr. Puigdemont or one of the other leaders will try to sue the Spanish government for all of these damages that they've done, beating people or destroying property, economic damage to the Catalan economy? What do you think about that? Because it doesn't seem like they're understanding, the language of street demonstrations or the language of the Catalan parliament passing these resolutions. So what do you think about that option, lawsuits?
That's a very good question. I've had that same question as well. So I'm going to let Nuria. Okay, que si nosaltres podem fer una demanda.
Denunciar la gratuïtat.
Sí, però a l'estat europeu o a una altra...
Yeah. During all the political aggressions in the 1st of October, here in Catalonia there was an association of jurists, advocacy.
Lawyers.
Association of lawyers that help people for free to put demands and to go to trials for denuncias. To sue. To sue. All the aggressions are.
Not just to sue, but to report as well.
Well, yeah, to report and to go to the justice. We know that it would be very difficult because the justice is a Spanish justice. So, and we have proof that they are lying about what happened that day. So it could be complicated, but at the moment we are reporting all the injuries and all the aggressions that the Spanish police has done. And we want to go to the Europe trial, but for going there, first we have to pass for all the steps in the Spanish justice. So it could be very complicated because the Spanish justice, if they want, they can be very slow, and we can last 3 or 4 years before we don't escalate it.
Before it escalates.
Escalate all these steps, all these Spanish trials before going to the Europe trial.
To a European trial.
So we are reporting everything. We want to go there, but we have to pass first for the Spanish justice, and it would be a very long way.
There are Spaniards that are saying that the blood on these elderly people that you saw in the videos was fake, that they put ketchup on and things like that.
I heard a caller on the radio, on British radio, that said that. I mean, I know. I mean, it's not like you're telling me stuff that you don't hear about. I have heard Spanish callers call up and say that. So I think you're right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but it's very complicated, because if the exterior minister, Spanish minister, is lying in the BBC about an images that everybody has seen, and we have been hurt because of that. He's lying everyone, so it's very difficult to fight against that.
Most of these people did go to hospitals, and so all that evidence from the doctors and the hospitals will come up, but right now they're actually trying to say that it didn't occur.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's one thing when the European Union or these other countries, they try to say, well, it's a Spanish matter. I think it's a different thing when they try to deny that these things are happening. I'm getting a lot of reaction. I have a lot of kind of the conspiracy, quote unquote, conspiracy theorist people that watch my show, because we do discuss a lot of controversial things. But you know, we're not people that will say, oh, just disregard one side or the other. I mean, I'm going to try to get somebody to explain the Spanish side. So far, I haven't been successful, but I do want to emphasize that, you know, when you send in all these battalions of civil guards who have a long history of just beating people for whatever reason in Spain, and they do it all the time. It's not just in Barcelona. I've seen them do it and sometimes, you know, they're fighting rioters, but that's not what happened. These weren't, if you watch the videos of Catalonia, I did not see personally any example of rioting. And if there is one, please send it to me. It's, you know, I'm not trying to go and say, you know, to support one side or the other, but as we're about to close, Umberto and Nuria, can you tell the audience here, I think all my audience here is American, what do you think that we should do to bring more attention or to bring pressure to stop this police oppression of average people over there in Barcelona and the rest of Catalonia?
Okay, right now what we need help with is the 2 Jordis. The 2 guys that have been imprisoned as political prisoners. I feel very bad that they can't see their kids, that their kids had to see them go through all that, and any pressure that you guys can put by calling, this would be the best thing, to call any European Union, the European Union, ONH, hold on, let me look it up. Hold on. You can call this number and tell them that you support, that you would like to see the Jordis. We can send you the last name of the Jordis, because even I can't pronounce them. I'm sorry, y'all.
Jordi Sanchez, Jordi Cuixart.
Yeah.
We can send you their names and the direction of the prison and send them letters. But if some of your audience have political, it would be also important that the political class make pressure to the Spanish government.
And this is the other number that you could call in to actually, or email. It's the European Union, and it's actually to send pressure to them to help stop this. And you can call, hold on. I'm sorry, the United Nations of Human Rights. It's the United Nations of Human Rights, and it is actually in England, a British phone number. So the country code is 41. And the phone number is 22917-9220. Or you could email, hold on. You could email national institutions at ohchr.org. National institutions with an S at the end, at ohchr.org. Email them or give them a phone call and say, ask the United Nations of Human Rights to step in and help in with what's going on in Catalonia. We should not be having political prisoners. We should not be putting people in prisons because they try to pacify a situation, keep them away from their children and their family. I mean, I don't know what I would do. They're going to try to imprison the president here, I'm sure, and we face or fear the fact that we may be attacked again as well. And I may be attacked because I'm an activist. I actually, I slept the night of September 30th at one of the schools to try to actually keep the school open in order to be able to have Catalans vote October 1st. And we knew that we could be attacked. I just didn't realize to the extent until I saw the videos later on. I will continue, I'm here and I will continue helping these people, and I hope that you guys can help us as well.
Yeah, and I think I found their names. It's Jordi Cuixart. I put it in the chat. I'm putting in the description. And is it Jordi Sanchez is the second one?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
they are innocent and they are justified put in prison without any trial and with fake charges. If they can to report that by network, and also if you have seen the videos of the aggressivity of the police in the 1st of October, you can share them by networks, Facebook and Twitter, because they are awful, and people have to know what Spanish police is doing here.
And I know this is a long, I mean, a huge question. I mean, a huge question, but I don't know. I'm losing my English. But if there's any chance that there could be a demonstration in Washington, D.C., it would be great. Wow. But I'm trying to get that started with some friends that I have in D.C. as well. I have one friend that's been following my Facebook posts. It's just not as easy to get just people in D.C. to do it. You have to bring people from outside, and it's not as simple. But it would be great if we could see Catalan flags in front of the White House. That would be amazing.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm somebody. I've always been somebody that I don't really want to commit to a party or an organization or a side. I will investigate this. I might do a video on the two Jordis, so I can kind of better explain the situation. Okay. You know, maybe try to be a little more analytical about it. And you know, I think I've read about it, but I have shared that information. I put it in the description, which is updated now. I do want to say though that unfortunately we've always had in the U.S. we've had administrations that they are kind of they lose their courage when it comes to really doing anything that has any of impact internationally. I think that was true of the Obama administration. I think that's true of the Trump administration. And I'm not somebody who's a huge critic of Donald Trump, but I did criticize him for appointing somebody like Rex Tillerson, who, if you guys were affiliated with Royal Dutch Shell or with Saudi Aramco, like oil companies, he would definitely be giving you attention because he's an oil industry kind of guy. And unfortunately, I think we are going to have to do this more on the grassroots level to at least give attention to this, tell people that this isn't the way that typically a democratic nation like Spain claims to be should resolve its internal problems and expect to be dealt with by the international community. It's kind of outside of the norm. It certainly isn't the norm in Europe. I mean, you don't see that happening in any. I mean, you see the restraint of a lot of the police in Sweden, which I think is too restrained to a lot of the riots over there. So how about this? You have a lot of people who have signed off. Rainer Rautenberg said he had to go back to work. Everybody else. Sorry? Say that again?
I said, tell Larry and Alex we said bye.
Oh, they're saying bye too, but you can have the last word, and then we'll speak a little off camera. We'll try to but yeah, go ahead, tell us what you think is going to happen next.
Well, I think we will see tomorrow and past tomorrow, because just we are in weekend and the situation is a little stopped now. It's like a chess party.
A chess game.
And we have declared the Republic. The Spanish government have applied part of the 155 article and instituted the members of the government. So tomorrow we will see what happened, but the Republic, I can tell you that will remain, and people in the streets are prepared to defend that. So it's a question of time, maybe, but we are sure that we will win the Republic.
I kept the newspaper from yesterday. I'm gonna hang it on my wall, frame it.
From yesterday?
Yes.
All right, so you heard it here. We're gonna see if we can find somebody from the opposing viewpoint. Maybe present the Spanish side, which I don't think has been articulated well by themselves. Sometimes, but you know, I could be wrong. I have been checking some of their newspapers, like ABC, or not ABC. It's El País is the more famous one.
El País is better than ABC. ABC is
the right side.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not going to say, you know, I don't tell people to support, for example, causes that I'm not really. I don't really have a stake in either side here, but I will, you know, I'll observe what I see, and you know, most of what I've seen is kind of consistent with what the two of you and Dr. Lark were telling me. But I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. I'll reach out to you guys again if you guys want to come back, give us an update, tell us maybe about a new event that's happened. So have a happy rest of your Sunday. I know it's evening over there, so maybe have like a nice dinner. Do you guys eat paella there, or is that more of a Valencia thing?
I eat paella too, but that's more a Valencia thing, but I eat it too.
Okay, thank you very much, and we can connect when you want.
Okay, so have a good night. Stay on the line, and you know, everybody else, have a great rest of your Sunday.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.